This is Jay Richards. I'm at the COSM 2019 conference, and I'm joined by Bob Kelly, longtime friend and managing partner at Ignition here in the Seattle area.
That's
Bob,
right.
Good to see you.
Yeah, you as well, Jay.
Yeah, so you had the tough job, actually. I did a biotech panel. It was all fun and love. And you had to moderate the panel on China.
Yeah.
And so first of all, who's on the panel?
Yeah. First of all, it was super fun.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay,
It
good.
was crazy, but it was fun. George Gilder, of course, no one needs an introduction to George. Gary Rochelle. Gary is the managing partner and founder of Qiming Ventures, a very, very successful, multi-decade successful venture capital firm that focuses on China. Wendy Liu, the head strategist for UBS on China and other parts of that market.
Right.
And then Jim Michelle, awesome, a local founder of a mid-sized company. Had a tremendous perspective on kind of the challenges of a U.S.-based company trying to struggle on a global market.
Electric Mirror, and they do a lot of the manufacturing
They do a lot.
here in the Northwest.
They do, yeah.
Yeah, so what was the core controversy, if you had to summarize it sort of neutrally?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'd say the core controversy really is what stance do we as Americans or in the technology arena take towards China?
Yeah.
And you know, there's sort of a spectrum of views to be taken on that, and you saw them all.
Yeah.
Right? George very vocally arguing we just cannot shut ourselves out of the Chinese market. We can't shut it down for us, and we can't shut us down for them.
Right.
If we want to maintain a level of leadership in technology and business on a global basis, we can't shut off the biggest market in the world as consumers or producers. Then you've got Gary, who has a perspective of an investor and thinking about like what are the dynamics of investing in entrepreneurship, because he's an early stage investor, not a late stage.
Right.
He's been seeding and Series A companies for decades, and the kind of innovation he has been a part of. I mean, he's very modest, but you know he's one of the largest investors in Xiaomi and was one of the biggest investors early. So he's been a part of kind of the growth of the entrepreneurial model in China. And then Jim, you had a very unique perspective as an American company trying to sort of operate on a global basis. He has 75% of his production done in the U.S., 25% done in mainland China. So he actually knows what he's doing and how he's dealing with it. But there's a level of frustration from that perspective.
Yes.
So you've got those really interesting points of view, and then Wendy giving us that wonderful backdrop on how to just think about the growth that's happened. Like Shenzhen going from literally 30,000 people to 24 million over a 17-year period.
It's unimaginable.
It's just unimaginable, right?
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. And so, I mean, I spend all my time sort of Econ 101 stuff trying to tell people that no, trade can actually benefit both parties, kind of simple stuff. China's complicated,
it's very,
obviously, and so a part of the discussion was, okay, look, maybe in the political context, maybe the president's saying things that aren't necessarily helpful, but there are some basic things that China's doing based on prior agreements. I mean, what is your sense about what would be the most positive way forward realistically?
I think Gary kind of hit it on the head, and he said, look, we can try and boil the ocean, or we can just try and get some things done.
Yeah.
And the get some things done is we have agreements in place with the WTO between the US and China, and between China and the rest of the world, and those agreements aren't being met. And so the simple thing is, rather than try and boil the ocean and try and shut off the market or create some kind of digital wall between the US and China, is to actually hold the Chinese governments accountable to the things that they agreed to.
Right.
And start there.
Yes.
Right? And if you get some motion on that, it'll get a little bit of breath in the system. People will start to calm down just a little bit if they see that the Chinese are actually going to stand behind their word. That'll change some of the dynamics of the market dynamics right now.
And I actually thought it was one of the most important comments because in many ways this debate is one of extremes.
Totally.
And either of the extremes would be a disaster, and they're also unrealistic.
Exactly.
And so, I mean, we've got stuff on the books, and I thought in some ways that was the most insightful thing to come out of the panel.
thought so too, and I thought Wendy reiterated it in a very different way, but her perspective was, what's going on in mainland and then Hong Kong and Taiwan right now is a spectrum of things and a spectrum of stories, but all we see are snippets. And so in the same way that all we see on the sort of trade war is the snippets, there's a bunch of things we could do along the path or along that spectrum that would just make things a lot better.
Absolutely. Bob, good to see you.
Yeah, you as well. It's great to see you.
This is Jay Richards. We're at COSM 2019.